While discussing the DreamWorks problem of them going downhill within recent memory, I've done a couple of videos about that if you didn't know, and within that discussion and many other points of discussion has propped up, just like my The Wild Robots Won't Save DreamWorks Even If It's Good video. Another one of these has been, why are people worried about a bad or average movie coming out after a good movie? Or that DreamWorks has always been like this. They have constantly gone from releasing amazing films followed by mediocrity and utter trash, then immediately dropping another banger again. This has not changed since the studio first started releasing films. How is this any different? Well, I'll tell you how it's different. Think of some of the worst movies of DreamWorks. Movies people have done 30+ minute rants on: Shark Tale, B-Movie, maybe even Turbo, Monsters vs. Aliens? People have always complained about when DreamWorks has had a miss, just like with their more recent movies. Of Trolls 3, once again I haven't seen it, stop asking me to see it, I don't wanna, and Ruby Gilman, Teenage Kraken, which was very average and honestly boring, with the only positives being it looking pretty and having an interesting enough concept. The reason we don't care about these movies flopping, even within the previous bad to mid movies of DreamWorks past, is because these are franchises or series we didn't care about in the first place. I personally don't care too much about whether or not a Madagascar movie is going to be good or not, because this series has never had a moment to cause that in me. To me, they're just comedy movies with some funny characters, unlike Shrek, who for the first film achieved even a little bit more through their character development and the iconic Hallelujah scene. Which brings me to the next point of DreamWorks being bad in the past. You loathe, you despise it, the cinematic disaster, Shrek the Third. I don't think I need to tell you about how terrible this film is. It took anything good after the first incredible sequel of Shrek 2 and downgraded everything in every conceivable way, effectively ruining Shrek in the public zeitgeist. If you subscribe to that theory, thought, and not the fact that the internet is definitely the reason for him being a meme, but I believe this movie, Shrek the Third, is in fact not worse of a sequel than Megamind 2 or even Kung Fu Panda 4. It might be hard to hear, but hear me out. The main thing we love about Shrek the Third is the fact that we could just skip it. It's not tied to the fabric of the film franchise where you have to watch the movie to understand. The only aspect or plot of this movie that carries over to the next film is that Shrek has children in Shrek Forever After. But within the time between Shrek 2 and Shrek Forever After, you could just assume that this happened within the time skip of the opening montage of the film, showing Shrek settling down with Fiona, now married with kids. The montage is conveying that enough time has passed for the monotony of life to begin catching up with Shrek, which is the plot of the film. All this to say that Shrek the Third is entirely skippable within the canon of the series, and that the new DreamWorks has a similar concept with the fans, but instead with not watching any of the new movies of their franchises. You see, while all DreamWorks being bad was either with the plain awful original films like Shark Tale or already existing franchises you're able to skip like Shrek the Third, but with the new DreamWorks, you have again the mid-original films that leave a nothing remark like Ruby Gilman, or unskippable awful films in already existing franchises like Megamind 2 and Kung Fu Panda 4. I don't need to talk again like whatsoever about why Megamind 2 is bad. I could just put in about 5 to 20 seconds of clips and you can remember how awful it is like I've done other times.
Megamind 2 was a mega failure.
Oh, right, I'm a hero now. May I suggest...
Oh, right, I forgot I'm not evil now.
What do I call it? A piece of shit.
But Kung Fu Panda 4 has a nuance bad that I didn't even notice before I started making my Tai Lung video. Go check that out whenever you can. I didn't even think much of the movie when I first saw it, so overall I thought it was a not needed fourth film. But then I started thinking about it. The fact that Zin became the Dragon Warrior is kinda wild change of status quo that really doesn't feel earned at all. Like, for Po, the entire plot of the movie was Po figuring out how to be good at fighting in his own and unique way, which came to a head when Tai Lung and him fought, leading to Po's mastery over Kung Fu being better than Tai's brute strength, with every character in just the world of the film having Tai Lung's presence be felt. So the fact that Po defeated this person that was so dangerous he could escape from impossible chains, beat the Furious Five, use chi techniques, and defeat Shifu, when Po shows that he is so different from all the rest of the Kung Fu fighters of the series by defeating Tai Lung in his own way, that is when he became the Dragon Warrior. It's not just a title for the strongest Kung Fu guy in the land, it's for someone completely different that can bring balance and peace to the lands. Zin doesn't deserve to be Dragon Warrior, not because of her being a Megamind 2 quirky girl that is good at various things, it's because she hasn't earned it. Being Dragon Warrior is more than just someone who's good at stuff. Which, to be fair, she is really good at stuff and can do the right thing in the wrong space. But if that was all you needed, then Tigress or the Soothsayer or basically so many various already existing characters would make much more sense. But it's just so obvious they made this movie just for Po to choose her, and not in the same way of the other films. Like Kung Fu Panda 2, we know from the beginning that Po needs to have inner peace, but we spend an entirely separate journey to get there. And when we think of Lord Shin, we don't think of someone that's just invented for Po to learn inner peace, and that's because of these films being very good at having multiple layers and complexities that you may not realize on your first viewing when you're goo goo gaga like me as a baby. And with the first movie with Tai Lung, you can see how his presence affect various characters before he even meets Po, making the world and characters much more attached to the movie's goal of getting Po to become the Dragon Warrior. He gets the role in the very beginning of the movie out of nowhere, resulting in the entire movie to build him up to basically what he already had in title's sake, but now for his and everyone else's sake. It feels like the characters and writers of Kung Fu Meta 4 didn't remember what this role meant and why throwing in someone seemingly just to be a commercialized main cast character. That's in a fourth movie that broke up the perfect finale they've had with their original beloved trilogy, which is why new DreamWorks being bad is worse than old DreamWorks being bad. They can't go back from this choice. Unlike Shrek the Third, where you can skip this stain in an otherwise beloved franchise, meaning that there could still be an amazing Shrek trilogy with Shrek 1, 2, and Forever After. With both Megamind and Kung Fu Panda, even if they somehow create another fantastic film, we'll still have this ugly middle chapter that the viewer would have to watch to understand the next one, which is honestly really annoying and sad. The future viewers will have to deal with these multiple missteps for the rest of these franchises' existence. A rush movie is forever bad. A quote said by Miyamoto, the video game guy, that can also be said for movies. These movies are forever in these amazing franchises, to the point that if anyone watches Shrek for the first time, they might stop after the third one, and not get to the underrated heartfelt finale of Shrek Forever After. But also, as Miyamoto once said, Mamma Mia, that one's from Mario. Even with all that said, I still have hope for Kung Fu Panda and all of DreamWorks. They can still make good movies. I bet the Wild Robot is going to be an interesting watch, but I still can only hope that Shrek 5 will be good. Because honestly, many of these other franchises can go into the dirt with only Shrek related content being good, and I absolutely love the Shrek company that makes no other films I watch. But in all actuality, if the next Shrek movie isn't at least good, then I give up on watching these movies as a consumer, and instead watch them as a reviewer guy, Airhorn. As a YouTuber, I need to watch and review any and every product that appears in relation to the topics that I talk about. Woohoo! Yeah! But in even more seriousness, I will always hope for these movies to be good, as I do for every movie to be good, especially if it involves something that I care about, and I really do care about DreamWorks. Out of every company that makes these large animated films, DreamWorks has always been my favorite. I like how compared to Disney and Pixar, they aren't scared to use comedy and seriousness to make their E for everyone films. Like how Shrek is a funny Scottish green ogre guy while also being a great character to relate to on body positivity and commitment issues. How Kung Fu Panda shows a funny fat panda who uses his inability to be normal into being even better than all the rest. The fact that Shrek Forever After was a story about a married man with children dreaming about fantasies of when his life were simpler, it's kinda wild to be in a kid's film. In Puss in Boots, that movie is just perfect in so many ways. Talking about not feeling a belonging in an adoptive family, having commitment issues, not wanting to grow up and get serious about life, and believing that you'll be okay opening up to someone and slowing down for the first time in your life, and so much more. That's why I make these videos, because I'm passionate about these stupid little movies, and that you're watching, and are here to listen. So to those saying DreamWorks having inconsistent quality has always been a thing, people are just mad that they touched two beloved franchises and act as if this is the end for DreamWorks. That's because it is. If these films keep coming out consistently bad within their beloved franchises, we'll no longer want to watch them. That'll be the end of DreamWorks to us. This is why we're worried. We're worried that DreamWorks will become another Pixar or Disney. Disney, within most of their properties, have been pretty bad, which is why a lot of people latched onto Puss in Boots: The Last Wish to begin with. The DreamWorks has always had a problem, but the DreamWorks problem is their worse new DreamWorks being bad, not their not as bad old DreamWorks being bad. Nothing is 100% with their next films coming out, but one thing is for certain: the next time they break up one of their beloved trilogies, we'll all be here for it, whether it's good or even worse than before.